Hello ghouls and goblins, I am your ghostess with the mostest, your priestess of the paranormal, your deviant of darkness. I took a beat to sip my water, and continued. Welcome to Eyes on Fire, where the darkest desires are what I aspire. Now tonight, I have a special treat, no tricks, I promise this time. We have a guest, and do your best to be polite. I nodded and smiled at Charles, and he gave me a thin-lipped smile back.
Thank you for having me, Mom. My name is Charles DeWitt, and I am a historian and paranormal investigator from southern Louisiana. And I'm here to talk to you all about the most disturbing case I've ever been a part of.
He sighed, brows knitted in an indecipherable way. I hadn't even heard his story yet, so I had no idea what I was getting myself into. After a beat, then a deep breath, he continued.
There was a house, long forgotten, buried deep in the woods. It was about 4,000 square feet, and almost fully reclaimed by the trees and shrubs and other forces of nature living in the thick. It was myself, and my team at the time, me and 3 others who I will only identify by letter, out of respect for their families.
He sighed deeply again, and I fought back the urge to ask him if he was all right. This story needed telling. I could tell by the look in his eye.
So like I said, there was me, J, who worked with the cameras, D, who was the most spiritually gifted young woman I'd ever seen, and V was my best friend. Didn't really know much about the paranormal and stuff like that, but was really interested. Because I was, you know. Anyway, we have to park a little ways away and clear a path through the driveway because of all of the overgrowth and branches and stuff. So we do, roll the van up a little closer so we can get the stuff out and set up. Takes us from about 6 p.m. till 9:30ish to get everything clear and get ourselves ready to go in. We strap on our cams, put on our protective gear, you know, like ventilators, boots, and stuff like that. You can pick up some nasty stuff in those kind of places.
He shot me a meaningful look, and then resumed.
I did the honors. I was the first one to breach. Immediately wished I hadn't. D, she was definitely in tune. Had the shine or whatever people call it. But it hit me like a ton of bricks. The place was screaming at me. I could feel it seething with contempt. I asked her though. Thought maybe I was overreacting or something, I don't know. She didn't seem to know what I was talking about. It was weird, but looking back on it now, she was weird. Her face didn't look quite right. Not off enough for me to notice then, but as the night went on. Well, we'll get there. We started poking around in the main hallway, didn't see anything too out of the way at first. Some religious books, most of them molded all to hell. Some of them I could read, but they didn't make any sense, to a sane person at least. Talk about the fiery eyes of Salo. How his flames burned you clean and pure, down to the bone. How it was both the greatest agony and the greatest pleasure on this mortal plane. We made our way to the main worship room, the heart of the church, and, I swear on everything I love, it was the most messed up stuff I'd ever seen in my life. The smell of smoke, something burning, heat lingering in the air. If I hadn't had my ventilator on, I'd have probably passed out. It seemed obvious there was a fire burning somewhere in the room. And then I saw them, in the charred pews leading up to the pulpit. There were people.
He swallowed hard, closing his eyes for a moment that seemed both brief and everlong.
They were sat there. But they weren't alive. They were husks. Their flesh burned so black that it was like looking into the void. People of all ages too, men, women, boys, girls, babies. I see them in my dreams sometime and I need to step away for a moment.
I nodded, and paused the recording. Take your time.
Is there anywhere I can smoke?
It was 20 minutes later, and he hadn't returned. So I walked out of my studio, heading towards the balcony, and stopped. That acrid smell. That cloying heat. Those flickers of red and orange, waving like flags, reflected off the pane of glass. I would not look. I could not look. I ran back to my studio, grabbed my phone, and before I could even dial, I heard knocking. No screams of agony. No pleas for help. Knocking. On my balcony's glass door. Don't look, don't look. I chanted, a mantra for my sanity, maybe my safety as well. I grabbed my phone again, and the knocking grew more aggressive. Then I heard blows that sounded like fistfalls, and then a pause. Then the sound of glass shattering. A voice.
Saul, Oak, Kurt, Ans, S, U.